Clearing blockages from the throat chakra. So in this video on Yoga Tantra healing, I want to talk about how the throat chakra works on a multidimensional yoga, not only from the perspective of yoga, but also the perspective of esoteric physiology, realizing that the spiritual is interlinked with the physical body. Again, that we are the temple of God, that we are the temple of the Most High. We are the living being within. So to connect the throat chakra, to clear blockages from the throat chakra, there's many ways we can do this. One way we go about doing that is chanting, as we share on this channel. All the videos you can watch, mantra, is a great way to clear the throat chakra, because what are we doing? We're beginning to actually use the voice. So when we use the voice, we learn to express the throat chakra. When in society, if we look at society today, it's a very interesting situation because we have these mobile devices. We may connect through the mobile device. You may text someone. You may look at a picture, like someone on Instagram. We may call each other. We used to be that way with telephones, but now everything is digital. There's a lot more text-based connection. We forget how to just communicate in regular life more naturally. Everyone has a pre-programmed response, and we all do this, whether consciously or subconsciously. But unblocking the throat chakra is starting to understand how the word creates, and how, when we get in tune with the word, again, the word of God, the word is the breath, the word is life. So if we get in tune with the word, this is also an expression of that, but we forget that with the words on the screen. That's why reading, even reading, listening, learning language can help to unblock your throat chakra. That's kind of a paradox there, because there's listening and there's speaking, and your throat chakra both communicates and receives information from the other chakras, and you can choose to communicate that, or you can channel that energy elsewhere. But as a musician, we've learned also to use our lyrics, use our words, use our voice and our singing to clear different emotions, to understand that the throat chakra is intimately connected to our emotions, as much our emotional centers, as much as it is the higher centers. Because once you understand how kundalini works in yoga and kundalini awakening, once you're getting past the three lower chakras, which are the physical, which is the body, or the more earthly based experiences and dimensions of energy that a human can experience and that life can experience. But specifically as humans, we have the power to do things like yoga. We have the ability to do things like meditation, chanting, again, singing, using the voice as language, and actually programming our language again, because we've been programmed with these languages. And once you understand the throat chakra, this is like affirmations. When we speak those affirmations into existence, we actually begin to create a new reality for ourselves, a new set of neural pathways, even if we look at the brain. So this is where yoga meets the modern world of psychology, we could even say. And Tantra also explores to the depths of it, the human consciousness of the body. And once we understand that the body is made up of these various sounds, of these various tones, or the chakra tones, the different syllables of the language, such as Sanskrit, which is a much more electric even language. It's a song-based language. You can sing it as much as you can speak it, and it resonates a certain way when you speak it with the correct pronunciations. And I don't have, exact Sanskrit. I didn't live in India or anything like that, but I would love to visit one day. But at the same time, we understand that learning a language such as Sanskrit, which has influenced so many ancient languages, some say it's one of the sources of all language, like Hebrew and Sanskrit are two source languages, where Hebrew is another one. But I want to focus on the Sanskrit in this video and the mantras, because they mapped out the body in this way to give us the different tones, again, using the throat chakra. So even if you're chanting a tone for the root chakra, Lam, Gam, Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha, chanting a mantra for the root chakra, then you're starting to still access the throat chakra. You're beginning to activate your voice. Even just Om chanting. Om. If you do it correctly, you'll feel the tone both resonating in your nose, in your chest, and in the throat chakra. And that's beginning to sound the word again that we are living in. They believe that this tone, specifically the Om, is the tone in everything. And so as we chant Om, we're both activating and clearing the throat chakra and the various other mantras. We're also working multidimensionally on the body. So think about that when you're speaking normal language too, because the tone we're speaking in, the words we're choosing, the way we're putting them together, all those different things can be both different than the regular way of thinking, or they can be closer to what you want them to be. So if you want to clear the throat chakra, you're actually looking to use the throat chakra. If you have trouble communicating, I had trouble communicating when I was younger. No one taught me how to speak louder. I have these lower tones in my voice. So I had to learn now how to use the right emotions with my voice. You have to learn how to, I essentially learned how to use my voice again by singing, by writing these songs, by learning to process my experiences in a different way. And you notice as a musician that you do process the reality in a different way than essentially a normal person would, because they're not breaking it down in terms of the tones and frequencies and sounds that are coming from the reality. They're probably just experiencing it as it is, just as someone listening to the music or listening even to one of the videos, but especially the mantras and the meditations. I don't know how anyone's receiving these tones, so leave me a comment. Let me know how you're receiving all these mantra meditations, which ones are hitting for you, which one you'd like to learn more about, because there's a lot more that goes into these than just, there's a lot more that goes into these than even that right there, like rushing your voice, learning to slow down a bit. But there's a lot that goes into these that I'm only hearing the end result. Did I get the recording just right? Oh, I could have turned that up. I had too much consonants, not enough. Too much de-essing, not enough de-essing. All those types of things. And just learning over time by listening to my own voice. And I was like, oh, I don't like those things about my voice. Oh, I really like these parts of my voice. And you like find, even in the EQ, you're like finding those frequencies in your voice. You're like, hey, this part of my range is really loud and this part is needing some attention, either more emphasis or sometimes even less emphasis. And when you're in the natural flow of singing a song, especially in the, on a recording, once you've layered everything and then you're going to record the vocal, it can get really passionate. So you're putting a lot more emotion into it again. And as you put that emotion into it, you're a little bit less concerned with how intense it is. You're more focused on the feeling and delivering, again, those words or that language or that way of understanding the experience, whatever song. A song can be a song, and some people will say that because to the world, it's become just music and sounds or a beat or lyrics or whatever. But once you understand the entire process and then become a musician and begin to sing the actual song, everyone loves singing to their favorite songs, even if they can't do it well. Technically, it's still beautiful. It's still their voice, and everyone has a unique voice, and they can learn to sing beautifully. Anyone can. I know I sure had trouble with my voice at first, so that was a process of, again, clearing the throat chakra. Is I was learning if I can maintain this part of my range when I go higher without having to use head voice or falsetto in a certain way, unless intentionally that I want to add that effect to the song or a background vocal or whatever it may be. These are different parts of your voice. You begin to say, okay, wow, the registers of the body. You have a chest voice and a head voice. They have the resonator in your nose, and then you also have the larynx and the vocal cords. And you have all these different mechanics, your lung capacity, how much breath you're breathing. This is why the word and the breath, again, are very interlaced or interlinked. Because once we start to get our breath, then we can sing longer, we can chant longer, we can hold that experience for longer times, or you can hold a note essentially. And this is what you could say an example of the result that you've cleared your throat chakra blockages. You're now singing clearly, you're speaking sincerely, and exactly what you want to say or bring to the surface. That's also called repentance in some ways. You learn to speak the experiences you're having, and then you're beginning to get beyond the emotion that was tied to that thing, and you're overcoming things by speaking into existence what you've gone through to get essentially a new result, And music is a great alchemy and a great yoga in itself. So I do want to emphasize how bhakti yoga sometimes is focused on just devotion and chants and things like that. But even just the sounds and these different syllables of the language, learning the whole language, is when you really start to shift your reality and begin to choose the words you're going to consciously create. We use our affirmations in that same way. As we speak into existence the collective reality that we all want to be experiencing. That's the most I can give on clearing the throat chakra, is that our word literally creates the reality. I've made a few other videos on affirmations you can check out on the channel. Make sure you subscribe if you're new, if you want to. Only if you want to. You don't have to. But I want to say my love to you, and thanks for tuning into this full video with me. Because the power of clearing blockages, again, from the throat chakra, clearing blockages from the throat chakra, when we do that, we start to see how we can manifest through our words, how sometimes negative things become more negative to us just because we spoke about them in a negative way. Even learning to hold our tongue, to listen, to breathe, to not react, but to use our voice for things like singing, devotion, music, learning language, learning how to communicate with each other. That's one of the most powerful things we can do. Also, I'll have to make another video on etymology, because that's getting into a whole other thing on these subjects and why words are so important, the sounds they make, and how they're connected between different languages. So make sure to stay tuned, find your own sources of information, and I try to share a bit of that as well to inspire you guys to keep looking and searching.